Imagine making a bunch of mistakes, having a shitty past, and then projecting that the men are the ones who have an issue.
Brittany, because I've listened to some of your like podcasts and talking to guys and whatever, and going back and forth with them. Like, what is your stance on like past? Are you like once you meet the person, past doesn't really matter? What is your thoughts on that?
I feel like everything someone has encountered up into present day needed to happen. So whatever has taken place, whatever puzzle pieces these relationships have given you, I'm not going to judge anyone for it. If I don't want someone to judge me for my past, I cannot judge them. And I feel like, of course, I am always going to be very vocal about that group of people that I feel like, if you have had public relationships or you've just lived a very public life like myself, I always found myself going to bat for and being that voice for that. Because, for me, it's like I live my life out loud. Like, I mean, pretty much everything I've done, you can Google and find it. So I feel like you not wanting children, like with someone who already has a kid because you don't have children, is a very different energy than, oh, you dated this basketball player who took you seriously, who you thought was your end game. And like, I wouldn't look at you as that. Like, to me, that's very egotistical. Again, your preference, you're allowed that. But I also think it's kind of like, okay,
I don't know. I
like,
feel like it's honestly, it's it might be the way most men are wired versus how women are wired. Like I feel like most women, and correct me if I'm wrong, y'all don't care as much about past as men, and I feel like that's because have a gift of being more forgiving, being more graceful, being more this, all these things, and men seem to like dudes will get mad over some stuff that happened 5 years ago when you weren't even with them. Like I don't know what that is in men. I feel like it's just a difference in like how we view a situation. Um, I don't really know if it's necessarily like wrong, but it could very well be an ego thing, and that's not the right way to go about relationships. But at the end of the day, I feel like whatever your preference is, there's someone out there for everyone. Like,
yeah,
you know
I
what I mean?
I also feel like though that men collectively not only have like pretty low self-esteem for the most part, or their ego is astronomical.
What?
I feel like men fixate a lot on someone's past because they feel that another man can permanently taint a woman. You
That's a
don't
big part of it.
have that power. You just don't. So it's like, again,
You don't think so? You don't think
a
that some
man
women
cannot
are
permanently
damaged?
taint me. It's just like, because
Not you, maybe you're very a strong, independent woman, but a lot of women are they've had relationships that have completely changed their personalities, the way they trust a man, the way they view men in general. I feel like you can be in a messed up relationship that can really mess you up.
I think that's a reflection of a woman's ego for her to sit here and say, well, men just have a pride issue on a woman's past. I think that's just like that's a woman trying to emasculate a man. Personally, that's what I believe. Because I think we all know that the reason why it matters more a woman's past than a man's past. I'm not saying neither one of them don't matter, but this sounds like a woman who's just looking for an excuse. Like you shouldn't hold my past against me because of what she did, and she knows that societal wise that she's just not going to be able to come toe to toe with other women in her proximity, and she wants to be able to say, oh, well, I'm just as good as that other woman type of thing. This sounds just like a way for her to excuse her piss poor choices.
The way I see it, most men base their opinion on this topic on experience, and is based on the fact that they have experienced women who have not gotten over their ex. And I think with that viral video that circulated with her having her altercation with PJ Washington, first of all, a lot of guys are fans of PJ Washington. I like his game personally. He plays for the Mavericks. He has a nice game. His game has improved, et cetera, et cetera. He just signed a big contract, of course. But she does not come off, she personally, her specifically, she does not come off as a woman who has gotten over her ex. So why would that be a good opportunity for a new guy, especially an NBA guy or a guy of, as they say, or you hear that term, high value, or a guy who's in that realm? Why would he take a chance on that and be actually serious and intentional if it's very, very clear that she's not over PJ Washington? And that's really the bottom line. It always comes back to PJ, no matter what. I mean, she was dating Kevin Gates for a while. She did the Muslim thing for a bit. And then when all else fails, when there's a shutdown of some sort, it's back to talking about PJ. And she constantly talks about that situation. So it's like, I want you to forget about the past. Oh, by the way, I'm going to talk about my past. So it's just hard for a guy who has options as an NBA player would have. If it's not for anything casual where he's just trying to play around, why would he take her seriously if that's how she's presenting herself? And then a lot of her content from the past has been centered on calling out how easy it is to get with NBA players and athletes. So guys, most guys have seen these videos. Most of the guys in the league have seen those videos, I'm sure. So considering all of that, she has not to date presented anything that says that she's in a new space from that person if you're looking at it through the eyes of an NBA player. So that's kind of what my thoughts were on that.
All right, go ahead, watch. How did you view what was said so far? You're on mute. Let me take you out. Are you good now?
Oh no, yeah, I pretty much I share the sentiments, almost of Easy and Naomi. It's just a lot of hypocritical statements, and I think that she's kind of like lost, and she doesn't really know who she is. She's moving too fast. You kind of got to slow down and really think about what she's saying and her perspectives. And I think the interviewer, he's kind of, he kind of half steps in this point, like he's kind of placating to them a little bit. He should be more honest and direct, like with how he feels, just because that's gonna help them more. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. But yeah, I think I don't agree. I think, yeah.
Yeah, one of the things that I would probably take away from what I just heard so far is the past is the past. There's nothing we can do. When you're having this conversation about the past, it's easy to say a lot of these things don't matter, but I think the past does. And moving forward, you have to be conscious of how you move in the environments you are in, the people you are around, because if not, then you're going to be repeating history all over again. So if you were damaged, if you were reckless with your wound, if you were experiencing a lot of men being vulnerable, then I think that it does have an effect on your future. So from this moment moving forward, you just have to be intentional about where you are and who you allow around you, because 10 years later from now, you're going to probably still be saying the same thing if you haven't made the adjustments or the improvement. But go ahead, Charles. What are you seeing?
Imagine making a bunch of mistakes, having a shitty past, and then projecting that the men are the ones who have an issue. Like, I'm a coach. I help people change their lives. So I'm not someone who believes that you can't change your life. Because all it really takes is a choice, and then you start taking the actions that are in alignment with those new choices. But the idea that you fucked up in the past and now everybody else is insecure is the height of like egotisticalness, if that's the word, or egoism and projection. And so I'm with you, Jay. I'm like, if you want to change your life, change your life. But don't come out here telling men that we're insecure. Yo, if you got ran through, that's on you. And if we don't want you because of however you conducted yourself in the past, then that's the bed you made. That's the bed you have to lay in, right? And I also would say the idea that everybody cares about everybody else's past. It's just that men and women care about different things about the opposite sex's past. Women don't typically care women don't care how many women a man has slept with. Men do, right? But if a woman started dating a guy and she found out that he used to be an abuser, she's more likely to be like, give him the side eye. If she found out that he slept with a guy in the past, she's gonna hold that against him. So everybody, you are the culmination of your past at this point. So the idea that I'm gonna overlook it because you're telling me, oh, I changed now. Okay, cool, you changed. That doesn't mean that I owe you to consider you as a wife or a partner. That's my thoughts.
I think Brittany's just a scorn hater, and there's nothing we can do about it. You got to let her be what she is. Now, an individual like that will definitely probably promote somebody to forget about her past because she has a longevity, a laundry list of her past. Fellas, and ladies too, you shouldn't throw out somebody's past. That sounds crazy to me. Why would I do that? You need to take it in consideration and judge them. And yes, I did use the word right. Judge them. You should judge them because her past could be her future. Because if she never changed, if she never corrected, if she never fixed the things that she did in the past, it's going to come to her presence. 2 years ago, she could have beat on that man, put hands on that man, called the police on that man, got that man in a situation he never should have been in. What makes you think she's not willing to do you like that? You think you're special? No, you're not. You're no different than the last individual. Maybe just your height, your income, and what you pack. And maybe that's the difference. Other than that, you're still a man. And doesn't mean she can't drum up some of her history and throw it in her presence. So you have to take that into consideration. Ladies, y'all should do the same thing. I don't know why y'all wait till find out like some dirty, crazy thing like somebody, I think, shared your man sleeping with another man. Then you gonna throw his past up there? No. You should throw it up on everything. If he shows a capacity to do violence, why would you get with a man like that? Why would you accept a man? If he's been locked up for 20 years for some violent crime, why would you get with him? Let some other poor soul take them burdens on, take on that situation. Don't you do it. Not if you got you in your right mind. Let somebody like Brittany Renner take on, because she forgives everybody's past. Your past doesn't matter. Then let this abusive man come in Brittany's Renner's life and save this heifer. Don't you be the fool to do it. Why? It makes no sense. So in her situation, yes, I know she wants to forget about it because hers is so messed up, cloudy, and dirty. Nobody should want to deal with her. Allow some other simp to take her ass on. Don't you be that man to do that.
Brittany is a celebrity, but so her life is public for the most part. Know a lot of things, but there are people that are out there who life isn't public, but they do have a past. And so there's like two things that really come to mind is, are we asking the right questions to factor that in as far as if we're going to choose that person or not? Another thing is that person going to be honest when these questions are asked about their past? Because a lot of people want to conceal what it is that they've been through, inward and outward. So it's kind of really difficult to really process and even get through to someone and learn about somebody if they are not open. But it is a little bit scary for a lot of people because you know they can have a past and you really have to be mindful and conscious of what they're saying and what they're doing. Sometimes you just got to sit back and observe and be able to try to get a better reading because these things do play out. Now, whether the person want to admit it or not, there are some telltale signs that a lot of people do ignore. Well, maybe they just may not be aware of what those telltale signs is. So that's why these conversations are very important as we look to move forward and vetting better. Because to me, the past does matter. And every person is different. It's not going to be the exact same response. So there are some people that can make improvements, but you have to see the consistency in it. If they're not consistent, then I think that would be a telltale sign that that person has not changed their past behavior, if it is revealed.
So, and the thing you said, a lot of people got to pay attention. A lot of people don't pay attention. They look past because they see the exterior about a man or a woman. They're looking at what they think they can offer them. But you got to look in their history and not be afraid to ask the tough questions. That's the point right there. Asking the tough question and being okay with the results of the answers. See, a lot of people say, oh, well, yeah, but that was 5 years ago. Okay, just because it was 5 years ago don't mean that man didn't get no help. Just because it was 5 years ago doesn't mean that woman has changed in the last 5 years. Time has passed. Doesn't mean what she did in the past changed. She didn't do anything to self-correct it. That man didn't do anything to self-correct. He didn't get no anger management for putting his hands on his ex-wife. He didn't do none of these things. So fellas, you have to pay attention. Ladies, you have to pay attention to what's going on around you. Make sure you ask a tough question and don't be scared of the results. Be willing to walk away if it's not what you expect or what you need to hear. The problem is most people don't want to do it. Well, I don't think I could never find another beautiful woman like it. Bullshit, you can, but you got to be willing to walk away from bullshit. Unfortunately, most people don't want to do that. They're not willing to listen, not willing to pay attention and accept what it is. You don't always have to ask the question directly out. You could kind of hint around it, put them in scenarios, in situations, and see what they would do in results like that. If I seen a video, I would present it to the woman. You know, I seen something the other day, and this situation occurred. How would you handle it? How would you deal with it? Have you ever done like something like this in your past? And you need to pay attention. Listen to what their lineage, their parents did, how their parents react, how their mother react. Please believe you me, the apple don't fall far from the tree. There's a reason why there's a saying on that, because people don't fall from the tree.
You honestly don't even have to ask questions if you're observant enough. Like, you just have to be observant. You have to be ultra observant with whoever you're dealing with or whoever you're potentially dealing with. But a lot of the times you don't even have to ask questions. Like, the people will disqualify.
Brother.
No. I agree. No, I totally know what I'm kind of like reinforcing what you're saying, but just from a different angle. I'm just saying, like, for example, like if I was potentially dealing with a woman, right, or looking to deal with a woman, before I'm even talking to her, I'm looking at her gram. I'm looking at what she's posting. If she even has a gram, I'm looking at what she's posting. I'm looking at her stories. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of, and I'm just using women, but a lot of women will be disqualified just based on that. And they won't. So if you even get to the point, if you get further, yes, then ask the necessary questions about, everything, like, very specific questions. But people have to realize a lot of the time they're not even getting to that point because they're disqualifying themselves, just based on their online footprint, so to say, and general, aesthetic. Yeah.
But watch, we shouldn't wait to that far along till we in that type of relation. That's not, look.
No, I'm saying
I said it before. I said by the third date, I'm gonna know your credit score. Now somebody said, well, it sounds crazy. Why would you need it? I don't give a shit.
Yeah, but
what you could do is tell me no or something like that. And right then and where when you tell me something like that, I already know what type of individual you are. Yeah, now, I'm just asking that just to test them out, just to see where their head is and see where their mindset is and see how they respond and think about it. Doesn't mean I literally want it, but you just got to make sure they be okay with asking certain tough questions. That's a tough question. People don't like to talk about the money, how much they making, and then the first, second, third. I'm just going to ask a tough question to see how you're going to be reciprocal of the next tough question I ask you. Are you willing to answer it? Or are you going to be a little hesitant and don't want to ask it at all? So certain things you have to ask questions off the bat. I don't care about they don't feel like it's inappropriate bullshit. I need to know. Because I'm investing into you, I want to know everything. Don't hold back. You know what I'm saying? You got to be observant, not only watching but asking. Go ahead, brother. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. No, I was saying that's not gonna go good for you because, like, a lot of women say they're marriage minded and they but they're not really like that. Like, a lot of
talk is cheap, dog.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, you're gonna run into a lot of roadblocks, even though that's honorable the approach you're taking.
So be it.
It's no, but you gotta
right, so look. If you want to find a good thing, it's not going to be easy.
It's not going to be easy. No, I agree.
It's not supposed to be easy.
No, I agree.
Then everybody have a good thing. That's not the case. We see that, right? We see a lot of dudes having issues and not fine. So if it's tough, then so be it. Hopefully, at the end of the day, it's well worth it, and you'll have a long, blissful marriage, if that's what you're looking for.
But I mean, overall, it's kind of like it's just insane to think that for people to say that a past doesn't matter. Like, your past matters in every facet of existence, like whether it's your, like you said, your credit score, your past matters to the government, whether it's your criminal record, your accomplishments. Your resume is essentially a track record of your past. So like I've been thinking that to myself, like it seems like male convenience is being demonized because a lot of dudes just want convenience in their life, or preference or whatever. And it's just like, damn, you can't even have a preference to want somebody who, who's carried himself in a certain way. It's just very disingenuous, and it's a horrible way for them to approach the argument. I don't think they have, there's like a legitimate argument against it or pushback, but the way that they approach it, like trying to, make underhanded jabs talking about insecure or it's completely insane when that's biology. A lot of people are going to school and they're sending their children to school, and they'll be mad if they don't get a good grade in math or science, but then they grow up to never apply math or science to their life, and it's just completely insane. Like our schooling system is horrible.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy.
This is more for the men. So because we know that men are the ones who control marriage, if a man is being intentional and he's asking questions like, hey, your credit score, kind of like what he was saying, asking those tough questions. If a woman is beating around the bush or not willing to them, does that tell you men that she's not really marriage minded?
I would say it tells you, yes, that she's not marriage minded. But the thing I would hone in on is, what is this person's level of ability to accept accountability for their negative outcomes, right? And people can lie to you, but people are who they are, right? And so if you listen not just to the answers they give you to your questions, but if you listen to the interactions they talk about with other people, and if they're never the problem, but they always have a problem and they are the common denominator, then you are the problem. So if it was your parents' fault, if it was your siblings' fault, it was your ex-boyfriend from high school fault, then it was your ex-husband's fault, and then it was the government's fault, and then it was whoever else's fault, that's going to tell you, okay, this person is not the type of person that takes accountability for their contribution to the negative outcome. If you don't want to answer the question about your credit, then we're not even going any further.
Well, a lot of women. Well, I think a lot of women are brought up to be guarded, and just be extra cautious. So I don't think that's necessarily like a direct correlation. A lot of I would teach my daughter to be very guarded too. I wouldn't like if I had a daughter, I wouldn't just be like, I'd tell her to be guarded. I'd tell her to be ultra cautious and
about what though?
About questions like that, because you don't know what people's you don't know what either or. I'm just saying, I'm just taking my mind there. Like, would you tell your daughter to be very open about that thing, that type of stuff with a man?
About
like,
what about what stuff though?
Like
right?
credit score, like
yeah, I got 3 daughters.
Okay, no, yeah, I appreciate. Yeah, so give me your perspective. Like, if would you I'm just talking about like on the first. Like, wouldn't you want your daughter to be like, hey, Pop, I was on a date, dope dude. He asked me my credit score. How do you think I should approach that? Would you want that, or would you want her to just answer off that?
I mean, if she's seriously vetting this man as a husband and he's seriously vetting her as a wife, then I would tell her, okay, you've reached a point where it's time to be open with this man.
Would you want her to ask you first?
Of course.
That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Like, I wouldn't want her. I don't think she would. I don't think it would be smart for her to answer that off rip. That's the only thing I'm saying. Like, I think she should come back, talk with you, and then maybe date 2. She can be forthcoming with the information. But that's what I'm saying. Like, because she said if she's hesitant, if she's is that mean she's not marriage material? I'll say no, Naomi. Like, if she's prolongedly hesitant, like she don't want to answer for multiple months, then yeah. But like, if she doesn't answer you the first time, but then the next time she comes, or like the next few time, then but yeah, like.
So once you realize she will tell her the home loan officer what a credit score is, the rent manager at an apartment.
If she's smart, she won't, because if when they run your credit score,
more than likely they will. They want to check and look. I'm gonna check it just to see how honest you are. That's why I'm going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
When I rent out a house, I need to know, see how honest. It's not going to tell me if you're honest, but tell you if you're reliable in what you say. So yeah, I'm going to ask those questions. And so most of the times they going to, and they be willing and open to do it. Now, whether they're honest about it or not, it's something different, but they be willing to do it. So why is it a problem now? I'm on the third date with you and I ask you just off GP, hey, girl, what's your credit score? What you looking like out there? How you moving? And then she take offense to it. I say, okay, well, I bet you tell that white man who you trying to get an apartment from your goddamn credit score. You don't even know him.